they could be subjected to a disciplinary process in line with the provisions of the Employment Act 2007 and the Teacher Service Commission Act in the case of teachers. Where the culpability also constitutes a crime, they could also be prosecuted by the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and upon completion of investigation. I also submit, Honorable Speaker.
KJ.
Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Education, just even by its formation, is one of those ministries that we have extreme confidence in, especially in the leadership of Waziri Machogu and PS Belio, because the expectations are very high because of the experience that they have in public service. And so, Mr. Speaker, I was expecting a more definite answer on the questions that I have asked. One, the case of the accident in Getuge. Has the ministry been able to establish why our school bus would leave Nyeri and instead of taking the more direct route back to Nairobi, would divert in the direction of Murang'a, a road that is also known to be an extremely dangerous road at the time that it took it? Was the ministry able to establish what informed the two drivers of that bus and the teacher responsible to take an alternate route that led to the accident? The reports that we are getting, Mr. Speaker, are that probably that bus was on another mission other than just getting the children to Nairobi directly. Mr. Speaker, the minister mourns with the families that have lost their children. One death is one death too many in school, Mr. Speaker. Schools are expected to be very safe. I'd want to hear, over and above the policies that exist, because these policies have been there, the accidents have been happening, I'd like to know specifically, are there new measures that are being taken to ensure that these accidents do not happen as they are? For example, Mr. Speaker, there are people in hospital. Some of them were injured after the accident because of the emergency response. How much emergency response training and first aid trainings do the caretakers who accompany the children have, Mr. Speaker, over and above the written policy? But secondly, Mr. Speaker, because the deaths have happened and there are students who are in hospital, beyond the mourning with the families, is the ministry making any plans to assist these families who have to lay their children to rest and the families that have their children in hospital? Are there any provisions by the ministry, being that these children are dying and getting injured while under the care of the ministry, who superintends and oversees our schools? So, Mr. Speaker, I'd like clarity on that.
Ado.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My question to the CS is the CS aware of the cover-up that took place at Visa Oshwell Academy in the hours following the death of 11-year-old Abdikarim Ali, who had gone into the pool and died there because he did not know how to swim. And then the caretaker took the body and locked it in a locker room overnight. This, of course, had a traumatic impact on the parents and relatives and friends who were searching for the body, and the Kenyan public as a whole, for the body to be found only at 11 a.m. the next morning. And I'd like to ask the minister as well, what is being done to ensure that cases like these of gross negligence do not happen in our public schools? Thank you.
Elachi, Minister, record those.
Thank you, and thank you very much. Mine is just to ask the minister, what happened to EduAfia, the education NHIF scheme for children? Because even as we talk about all this, Right now, they don't have any medical cover. So what happens? And are the school buses given insurance that is comprehensive or a third party?
Zamzam. Hold, Minister.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Supplementary.
Mimi nataka kumuuliza waziri kwa sababu kuna wakati katika taifa hili tulikuwa na waziri wa elimu alikuwa akitoka ghafla anaingia kwenye mashule anaangalia watoto wanakaa namna gani. Mheshimiwa Spika, watoto wanaangushwa hata kutoka kwenye basi ya skuli, wanapigwa mpaka na madereva wa basi. Walimu wanatesa watoto ndani ya maskuli. Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi naomba kuuliza waziri, kama kisa cha huyu mtoto Abdul Karim ambaye amefariki juzi kimetokea na kuna wengine ambao mpaka sasa wananyanyasika, ametusomea kanuni na sheria ambazo ameziweka. Je, anafanya bidii gani kuhakikisha anafuatilia kanuni hizi kama zinafuatwa ndani ya maskuli? Kwa sababu mpaka sasa Mheshimiwa Spika, watoto wanazidi hata kuogopa skuli. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, pia ningependa kumuuliza, kuna skuli mpaka sasa mtoto amesoma lakini hajawekwa kwenye nemesis. Unamchukua mtoto kumpeleka skuli nyingine, unapata yule mtoto wako alikuwa hajakuwa registered na hiyo skuli inachukua pesa, inachukua kila kitu. Kwa hiyo amefanya mbinu gani kuhakikisha kuwa kila skuli imechukua mtoto na kurekodi katika ile nemesis, watoto wote wao wanajulikana katika taifa? Asante sana.
Yes, member for, is it Turkana? Turkana Central. Yes, Joseph.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Swali moja tu.
I also want to join the rest of my colleagues in sending condolences to the families that lost their dear ones. My question is in regard to the issue of the students or pupils in schools that are prone to banditry areas. What is the take of the CS education in ensuring that these students are also staying safe in their schools? Because what we are seeing around is every time there is an attack or there is banditry, these schools are closed, and some of these students are also killed. What is the understanding of the CS, and what is the strategy or policy is putting in place to ensure that these students are also safe and doing their studies or learning in a safe environment? Thank you.
There are a few more MPs who want to ask questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Order, Minister. Can you record a few more? Basil?
Thank you. Speaker, I also join my colleagues in condoling the families who lost their loved ones. I want to ask the Minister to explain how often does the ministry conduct safety audit so that we don't become a reactive nation, because we need to ensure safety measures are in place throughout the learning program. Thank you.
Farah Malim? Give one of yes.
Yeah, Speaker, in line with what the Member of Parliament from Turkana has said, we have to think outside the box and begin preparing ourselves for situations that can happen. And I've mentioned this a few times, and I want the Minister to take note of that. In Nigeria, the Boko Haram has a tradition of abducting students who are in secondary schools or in primary schools, and basically keeping them and doing all sorts of things, including conscripting them into the Boko Haram. It does not happen in here. But do we wait until it happens? I want the Minister to take this into consideration. I know he's a very able minister. I have a lot of respect for him, so that we have security in all our boarding schools, in all the terrorist-prone areas, particularly in Northeastern Province, so that what happened in Nigeria doesn't happen to us. We have to think outside the box and prepare for these things well in advance, because the possibility is there. Thank you.
Thank you. Moranga, Women Rep. Mama Pareo, is that you? I'll come to you after that. Minister, take a few. They are all very short questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I first wish to appreciate, I want to comment in line with the accident that took place in Murang'a County. And I wish first to appreciate that on that particular day, I had spoken to the minister. I was going to Kirene High School, where a teacher had passed on in school, and thanks so much, Minister, you really assisted us for that particular incident. And I can tell you the students were completely traumatized. For that particular accident that happened in Murang'a, the driver, the victims, the survivor victims said that the driver was in speed. And at that particular time of the accident, the driver was under pressure from the school to ensure that the pupils arrive in school early because the parents had already the parents were giving pressure for the students to be taken back to school. I think we really need to define the time we need to be allowing our students out of schools and back in school, because it was a simple matter of negligence. We have credible information from the survivors. We visited the scene, and I can tell you it has been very traumatizing, and especially to women like I who have got young children. Thank you.
I see a lot of, Minister, you can pile all of them. Pareo, Mama. Mama Pareo, Narok North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to ask the Minister for Education if he's aware that Narok North is seriously hit by the shortage of teachers. And this is because teachers are running away from Narok North to go to where they will benefit from the allowances that are paid to teachers in other constituencies. And we have hardship allowances in our neighboring constituencies, and that's why teachers are running away. And there are schools that have a population of 700 pupils with only 2 teachers. And in the JSS classes, there are classes that have no teacher completely. So I want to ask the Minister of Education if he's aware and what he's doing to make sure that Narok North benefit from the hardship allowances so that teachers of our own cannot be running away from the constituency to go and benefit from the hardship allowances. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The last one this round, Mama Nairobi. Did I see your hand? Oh, Edith Nyanze. Yes.
Thank you, Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. My question is on capitation to public schools. We are now about to, the financial year is about to end. What percentage of capitation has been sent to public schools? Because there is a lot of outcry from the teachers saying that they have no funds.
Minister, can you answer those? Those who still want to ask, I'll come back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. You can allow me to answer all of them, but not in any given order the way they have come.
Yeah, just go
to
ahead.
start with Narok North, the member areas which were designated as hardship areas, and when one works in an hardship area, he has some kind of enhanced salary, hardship allowance. It has caused quite a lot of problems because there are neighboring areas which are not so designated. So you find teachers working in those areas would prefer working in the next area which is designated as hardship, and hence causing a problem in these other areas. We have noted several areas, Honorable Speaker, sir, and I think it's an exercise that we have created a team with my peers and also the Minister of Public Service so that we see whether we can be able to rationalize this. We have a clear criteria so that other deserving areas are not denied the opportunity, and you find that even areas which are not as deserving are benefiting from this hardship allowance that a number of teachers and public servants would also like to benefit from. So I think there's a process, there's an exercise going on, because we have noted that there's clearly a problem, as the Member of Parliament has said. Honourable Speaker, on banditry and insecurity in parts of our schools, yes, you are aware, like Baringo, the incident that we had the other day, very unfortunate. You are aware a few years ago of what we had in Turkana, and of course many other parts of this country, where schools are not spared out of instances of insecurity. We work very, very closely with the Ministry of Interior, which has the mandate of ensuring that security is guaranteed for our runners in schools. And of course, you will find the school, probably the best we are able to do is to employ a watchman, and these guys, when they come armed with firearms and all other weapons, a watchman cannot be able to counter and stop any such attacks. So we are working very closely on this. It's an area of great concern because it affects running, it causes fear, even when it has not occurred. Sometimes you find the children are traumatized to an extent where they cannot be able to do what they are supposed to do in school. We want a peaceful coexistence, an atmosphere that running will be able to take place in our schools. So we are working closely, including giving money. We gave 100 million to Baringo. The military has been trying to reconstruct some of the schools which were destroyed by the bandits. We did the same in Turkana. Some of those schools are now up and running, but still we cannot be able to say that 100% we have been able to sort out that problem of insecurity. But so far so good, because you know the efforts being done by my colleague Kindiki on this area of security and trying to mitigate on insecurity in those areas. And I think we are getting some good progress, even if there are still instances that are happening in these areas. The other area is on medical cover. Members, you know that it is only the other day, I think, that you passed the universal health coverage rules, which will be able to apply universally, including to our school-going children. The Eduafia that we had that was covering all our children at separate different levels, considering what you did, because all these things were put together, unified, integrated and amalgamated in such a way that the system we are coming up with should be able to serve better. So as of now, sometimes there is that lacuna, there is a vacuum in between here, because when we encounter a problem, and that's why we are hoping that the regulations being worked on will be done quickly, so that in case of any such cases we have, they can be covered. The other one is that education, we have 32,000 primary schools countrywide. We have over 11,000 secondary schools. We have over 500 TVET institutions. We have over 70 universities. As CS Education, there is a structure. If you go that you want to cover each and every primary school in this country, or you want to cover each and every secondary school, it is not humanly possible. So what I've done in the Ministry of Education is to create an environment where the officers are able to deliver, they are able to work, and I thank the members of this House because you were able to assist me in that effort. We have now given transport to a number of your constituencies, the sub-counties, and the few that we have not been able to give AIE so that they can be able to move around doing the work which is supposed to be done. Equally, those ones which have not been given, we are giving. we are also creating systems in such a way that if it is the regional county directors of education, if it is the county directors of education, if it is the quality assurance officers, each and every one of them to know their mandate, what they are supposed to do, and to be able to do their work. Such that at the ministerial level as a CS, when I'm oversighting the entire country and getting reports on a daily basis, I'm sure that for sure my people are working, because it is through these people that the impact of the CS can be fed everywhere in the country. It is through them that whatever policies that the government has in matters of education can for sure be achieved. NEMIS, you know, before the establishment of NEMIS, the kind of problem we had, because we were operating manually. Same problem that we are having in TVET institutions, in our higher education universities, but now with digitalization, we are coming up with a system which we are going to call CHEMIS, covering every level of education, right from basic, primary, junior school, senior school, all the way to TVET institutions and the universities. And I think in another 4 months' time, we should be able to roll out that system where we should be able to capture data of each and every individual, and it is that particular information which will be able to take him through all the way from primary up to university. And of course, NEMIS has been able to help us to a large extent. But you know, we did insist that in order for one to be registered under NEMIS, he had to have a birth certificate. And there are parts of this country, as you are aware, where a number of our young ones have not been able to obtain these particular documents, and hence it also has few problems, because not all the people are registered under that system, because then it denied them the opportunity of accessing capitation. Honorable Speaker, Madam Speaker, if you can allow me on capitation, because there is a question on capitation, such that when I come to that particular question, I can be able to answer it, because I have it in my written answers, such that I can be able to answer it at that particular time. Honorable Speaker, as I said, we have set out safety measures. Actually, the major concern in the ministry, particularly when we have either any activity bringing schools together, even when school children are now moving out, we have insisted that the county director of education must be informed, and part of his responsibility is to ensure that particularly the vehicle they are traveling out with is compliant, is properly serviced, and it meets the required standards before the children are taken out. We have strict timelines on when they should be able to start and when the journey should be able to end, because we don't allow them to travel at night. We are also working with the police on the incident of Moranga, and I'm sure once we compare our notes, the driver, if he went diverting and doing other things, we are going to get answers. And of course, there is an element of criminality in this thing, where it might not just be disciplinary action, but somebody will have to be taken to court because it's something we cannot allow. The affected families, members, you know that unfortunately, as a ministry, we don't have funds to assist these families when they lose their loved ones. In actual fact, I think those who know, sometimes I also fundraise amongst my officers. Each and every instant, minister, that is not money from the ministry, that is money which I normally fundraise. But we assist them with transportation. We try to raise funds as a ministry to buy coffins, and at least to make it a little bit easier for the families which are affected by this, because we cannot be able to go misusing government money or using money which has not been allocated to us by Parliament, because that particular fault is not anywhere given. Our teachers, particularly our principals and administrators, like now, each and every year, each and every holiday, we bring quite a number and give them training in Kemi, our institution here, and also in Simastea. Why and what is it that we train them about? Some of these things we are talking about is the major training that we are able to impart to our administrators of schools so that they know and are well equipped with information so that they can be able to manage better our institutions. We will continuously continue being alert. We will continuously continue monitoring, and this we do almost each and every other week. If I'm not having virtual meetings, sometimes if they are not physical, because right now we have divided the country into 8. You will see the CS moving around with my regional director, each and every area, because there are items that we cover, and among the items we cover in these meetings with our officers who will then be able to enforce, because they represent us in each and every part of the country, are some of these particular issues we have discussed here, Madam Speaker. With that, I require to submit.
Thank you, CS. I think I will give 2 follow-ups. The Honorable Member for Njoro, Honorable Kathambi Chepkwony.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Allow me to start first by telling the CS, thank you for sorting the Egerton University matter. I'm expecting the way you paint them 100%, it will be a continuity. Thank you very much on that. CS, I'm just raising the matter on the matters of TVET. It's unfortunate we have so many TVET in this country which are not equipped. How soon are we going to equip these TVET so that our youths can get benefit? And I'm asking that question because in Njoro constituency, as a complete institution which has taken so many years and it has not been implemented. The next question, CS, which I'm raising today, is the matters in relation with some teachers who sometimes become sick in the respective counties where they have sent for their duties. And I have cases where I have very sick teachers who come from my constituency, but probably someone was posted in Nyandarua and the other one is probably in Lodwar. My question is, CS, why don't we bring these teachers in the localities of the constituencies where their families can take care for them while they are just giving the services to the communities? And the last one, CS, which has become a big thorny issue, even I'm raising this because I addressed it even the other parliament. It's the matters of registration of the new schools, whereby members of parliament, even when they have a plan to construct new schools, we are getting a lot of challenges. CS, for how long are we going to talk to our officers in the ministries to ensure that the new schools we are proposing for our people are really going to be registered? CS, we are so much frustrated. I've raised this question many times, and I still raise it, and I'm expecting you are going to make a solution for us. Thank you very much, CS. Continue serving the institution, implement the matters of the TVET. Asante.
Thank you, honorable members. Let's try and keep it brief. The Honorable Bishop Kosgei. Give him the mic. He's right at the back on my far left.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I seek an answer to this question as to whether the Ministry of Education, Bwana CS, has established a policy on how to construct and build buses that carries our children in school. because the kind of accidents we see on the road and the impact it has on the passengers, it is horrifying to an extent that we ask ourselves that these buses were built to kill. Standards all over the world indicates that they pay attention to the frame, the major and the main frame architecture of the bus to withstand different types of load and impacts on the road and minimizes the dangers it causes on the people, and especially the vulnerable. The school buses, Bwana Waziri, got two features which are very mandatory, and that is emergency and also the issue of comfort and safety. Therefore, I am wondering whether the ministry and government has established a must policy to all the management of schools that dictates on how these buses are built. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I think I'll allow the Cabinet Secretary to answer those two. And I also realized there were some further questions that are dealing with already with questions that are coming up under ordinary questions. There are questions on special needs, there's capitation, there are many questions on counseling in schools, withholding certificates, teacher allowances, delocalization. So if your questions are on those, then let's move on because we've taken too long on this one. Let's allow the Cabinet Secretary.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd like to respond to your question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The one of transfer of teachers from Honorable Charity Gathambi, I think it is also somewhere. The sick teacher is Nyandarua, supposed to go to Njoro, somewhere in Nakuru. So it will be covered in that particular question.
Yes, Cabinet Secretary, anything that has got to do with the other questions coming up,
thank you.
You can defer the answer.
Honorable members again, for Egerton University and our other universities, because they were at the verge of collapse. Egerton University was totally on its knees, but courtesy of the allocation from here, we are now paying our professors, our lecturers at 100%. And progressively, we are looking to financial stability moving forward over our universities. To come to the question of TVETs, which is a concern of almost each and every member of this House, Honorable Madam Speaker, I would like to admit that 70 of our TVET institutions, as yet, we don't have equipment. We did a negotiation with the government of China, and we have been expecting that we will be able to get this equipment from the government of China. And even we are also following up with the government of Italy. We are again having negotiations. So it's something that we are aware of. It's something that we know of the critical importance of providing the equipment, because teaching and training cannot be effectively done not unless we have this particular equipment. And even those other TVET institutions which are at the various categories, we are on top of it. And I think progressively moving forward, we should be able to get an answer. I did make an undertaking, members, on registration of schools. And I think my peers is here. We did arouse some kind of flexibility because the way the system was before, a lot of bureaucracy, I removed that. And I think following that, we have been able to register a number of schools. Honorable Charity Gathambi, if yours have not been done, kindly, you don't even have to come, a phone to me, and then I will make sure that I have my officers do it. And any other member of parliament, including your areas, if there's such a problem, kindly get in touch with myself or my peers or my director, quality assurance, and each and every one of us is informed instructions that we have to have that one done. Members, the other question, you know, we have a problem not only in education, but as a country. the things we are calling passes are not supposed to be passes. Because we take the chassis of a lorry, and then probably the CDF, you want to buy a pass, you are buying something which is originally not supposed to be a bus. The danger of that is that in the case of an accident, in the case that particular bus overturns, chances of it killing people, chances of it becoming fatal are very high. A bus is meant to be made in such a way that it is something carrying people, not missile, not luggage. So this particular one, the means of transport, came up with a policy where they were proposing that a bus cannot be a chassis of something which is supposed to carry missile. But you know, the case went to court, and Kenya being the way we are, the matter is still pending in court. They were stopped from implementing that, and I'm aware, yes, that some of the buses, including schools, and even the ones which are being used here outside, are not anywhere near the standards which are supposed to be met as far as buses are concerned. I think it's a conversation that we are supposed to have as a country. I hope someone somewhere will be able to fast track that case pending in High Court, so that the High Court can then open for that particular policy to be implemented. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir.
Thank you very much, honorable members. There is still another further 9 questions which touch on various matters, so chances are that you will have an opportunity to have a follow-up on one of the 9 questions. Because in fact, many people have come to me, have said, I want to ask about delocalization, and I've said there's a question on delocalization. On the issue of allowances, there is one, so you'll be able to find. So I think I will allow the honorable member for Nyakach, Honorable Aduma Owor, so that you can ask your question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, in the interest of your guidance, maybe I could merge question number 022 and number 40, which are meant for me and directed to the CS. If that would be in the interest of the House and in the interest of time.
Yes, I think I will allow you that because they are both your questions.
Thank you.
You can start with number 22.
Madam Speaker, then I'll go straight
and then jump to 40, and then the Cabinet Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll go straight to the point and ask the CS to provide the details of the criteria used to disburse infrastructure funds to schools in the country. Madam Speaker, I would also ask the CS to explain to this House why the special funds for disadvantaged learners with special needs, which was previously kept at 2,300 shillings per child, has been reduced to half of that amount and has not been disbursed to the students for over 2 years. Madam Speaker, I would also ask the CS to explain the measures which the ministry has put in place to address the inadequate infrastructure for junior secondary schools.
You may move to number 40.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On number 40, I would ask the CS to explain why some teachers are still delocalized after the policy was abolished in the interest of the family bonds and the values for the teachers. Madam Speaker, I want the ministry to state what measures the ministry is putting in place to end delocalization of teachers, considering and being aware that this House had already pronounced itself on the subject.
Thank you. Cabinet Secretary, we will proceed with those 2 questions. Then after that, members, we shall have our follow-up questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Madam Speaker, and my friend, the Member of Parliament for Nyakach. Members, as you are aware, the infrastructure fund is a limited resource basket that is meant to supplement other infrastructural development resources, mainly the National Government Constituency Development Fund. And for me to commend the members, because in education, you go to each and every part of this country, each and every constituency, the infrastructural development, may they be classrooms, may they be administration blocks, may they be dormitories, laboratories, most of them have been constructed using CDF. So these infrastructure funds are dispersed, being limited as they are, to schools across the country based on an infrastructure need assessment, an equitable distribution, and also depending on the availability of funds and what amount of funds we have. Schools with poor infrastructure that seek to benefit from these funds make a request to the Ministry of Education through the Sub-County Directors of Education. The application details the infrastructure conditions of the school, the enrollment and the estimates of the infrastructure needs. Additional supporting documents such as bill of quantities, assessment reports, and recommendations and photographs may also be provided. The Postal Management also provide minutes indicating the infrastructure needs. These applications, Honorable Madam Speaker, are then forwarded to the Ministry for consideration. A school could be allocated funds once the Ministry determines that there is justified need and that the school deserves the requested intervention, subject to the availability of funds. In determining the allocation of funds, the Ministry seeks to ensure that the resources are equally distributed, noting the different levels of school infrastructure development and enrollment in the various parts of the country. Other than the foregoing criteria, some schools are also funded under the Emergency Response Fund if they have been befallen by natural or human calamities. Such schools may make an appropriate application for consideration, or they may be identified by the Ministry through its field officers. Projects in schools that are funded under this particular program, we also try to make sure that they are completed. This financial year, Honorable Madam Speaker, I'm sure the members are aware that we did put up a case saying part of the infrastructure funds that were to come to the Ministry should be forwarded to the CDF because they have a better structure, a better system to be able to implement some of the things that we should be able to do. And following that, 3.39 billion, which was supposed to come to the Ministry, went through Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs. And I think what we are trying to do so that we start putting up the 6,000 classrooms is to make sure that the money is released to you, because we are kind of working against time, and this we did recommend that it comes as a conditional grant, and the criteria used, I think, in allocating what is to be given in each and every constituency, we did sit down based on enrollment and number of schools in each and every constituency. We came up with that and we submitted that through the Committee of Education so that being split and categorized into each and every level, every member now should be able to know he has what out of that particular amount. The other one, Madam Speaker, that we have had to make a special consideration is some of our counties, like the capital city, which is Nairobi. Nairobi is in a very pathetic kind of situation because it's like the private sector is the one doing education. Members of Parliament are aware, the 17 constituencies, out of over 1,000 schools, over 800 are private schools, and some of them are in very pathetic conditions, not the private schools, because the motivating factor of one to start a private school, the element of profit is there. But these ones are just started, they are charging 1,000, so sometimes the quality of education is not as good, and in order for us to create a capacity, we also found that Nairobi is badly hit, not like any other parts of the country, and therefore there is a special infrastructure grant which has also been given to Nairobi, the 1 billion, which each and every constituency of the 17 will be able to get 58,000, so that 58 million, so that we try to create a capacity in Nairobi, because as I have said, in primary and in secondary, the situation is pathetic, and we want to progressively see how we can be able to remedy the situation in Nairobi before we also move to other cities. We were in Mombasa, those who were there on Monday, the situation is no better. We are also experiencing the same kind of problems. So, Madam Speaker, the second set of questions, so that members then can be able to ask other questions, is on special schools, question number 40. And this question 1, I would like to first inform the members the number of special needs education schools we have in the country, and then we will now specifically come to the question. There are 2,892 day primary schools in the country, with an enrollment of 117,565 runners. The boarding primary special needs education institutions are 337 in number, with a total enrollment of 43,266 runners. There are 81 secondary special needs education schools, with a total enrollment of 7,064. There are 134 junior school special needs education institutions, with an enrollment of 1,593 runners. We also have 66 pre-vocational special needs education institutions, with a total enrollment of 952 runners. As the member has rightly put it, all our primary school level runners, each of them receives an allocation of 1,420 as capitation, all our public primary schools. And again, those with special needs, each runner then is supposed to be given 2,300 free for pre-primary education, a top-up for specialized running materials and assistive devices. This amount is intended to enable schools to procure specialized running resources, assistive devices, and technologies for runners with special needs and disabilities. Members, we did establish that there is money which was given to a number of these schools, but then unfortunately, a number of them were not buying the devices, the running materials as it was supposed to be. Either the money was diverted or put into other uses, and hence you will go to a number of them, you find the devices are actually not there, and therefore the kind of running that we expect in these schools was kind of missing. We had a kind of problem that we had with the textbooks. You remember years back where schools were given money to procure textbooks, but then they were not doing it. And hence, when the centralized system of procuring textbooks came into being, at least we are almost attaining the 1-to-1 ratio as far as textbooks provision is concerned. So in this one, 2022, we said 2023, if we can have a centralized system where we procure these running materials plus the assistive devices in a centralized manner through KISE, and then we supply all these devices into the schools, it might work out better, and for purposes of accountability, and even because we are procuring in big volumes, then even the cost becomes better. So last year we did that, and I think I have a breakdown of how we were able to distribute those particular specialized materials into all our institutions. So based on this, we adopted that, and in the financial year 2022-2023, out of the total allocation of 334,562,600 as top-up grants, the ministry sent 50% of this, being 167,281,300 to KISE, and send the remainder to schools. In the year 2023-2024, the ministry has sent 135,199,750 to schools, being 50% of the total allocation that was given to us. KISE, we are yet to disperse for, again, the kind of material and devices we had to procure because of exchequer issues, which, of course, we hope that in the very near future, as the financial year progresses, we should be able to get that, and then we have it, the material dispersed. In secondary, Honorable Speaker, the amount is higher than primary. It is 35,750 per annum. And this financial year, we have 200 million, which has been provided to, translating to not 35 now, but 28,313 per annum. The total deficit here, for which we seek your intervention, is Kenya shillings 52,393,688. And Honorable Speaker, I think we have given a figure, and this particular question, I think, goes on with the amount of capitation that we get in primary and in junior school and in secondary, because the figure as it was given, I think progressively it is becoming lower and lower because of the amount of money allocated to us by Parliament, and therefore we are not able to go to the kind of figure that as fixed. I so submit, Honorable Speaker.
I think the honorable member who asked the question has the first shot in the follow-up questions. That's the MP for Alego Songa, the Honorable Atandi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I've listened to the Cabinet Secretary keenly. And Mr. Speaker, during the school opening, I had the opportunity to visit some of my schools, the provincial, in my constituency, namely Nyakach Girls, Nyabondo High School, and Rai Girls High School. And Nyakach Girls, with a population which is close to 4,000, had a school laboratory which could only accommodate 30 students. So that is what really moved me to raise these questions. And I learned that the distribution of these funds is quite skewed, and there are schools with very, very high enrollment rate of learners which are disadvantaged. So I hope the Cabinet Secretary will be able to address that, so that these schools which are disadvantaged. I have a school in Githunguri, which is a case in point with over 7,000 students. And that really need to be addressed by the ministry. Mr. Speaker, my constituency is also a hardship area. And I learned that the ministry has also been quite skewed in the issue of delocalization, where this house had actually pronounced itself. So I wanted that also to be addressed, because if you delocalize even within the same county and you do not take these schools, these teachers to their sub-counties, then you are not also solving the problem for these families. So I hope the CS, who I know is equal to task, will look into this issue. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, those are statements, sentiments, which you can take into consideration. But the MP for Isiolo, Mumina, you will take a few of them together.
All right, thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a follow-up question on the matter of school infrastructure funds, I want to appreciate the CS for the good work they are doing in ensuring that these funds is moved fairly across all the schools. But the CS, there are matters that I need to bring to your attention when it comes to how well equipped some of the schools in our counties are. For example, in the case of Isiolo County, you realize that we only have one national school, which is a girls' school. We do not have any school equipped to the standard of national status that serves boys in that county. And most of our schools, as you see, especially where you are very much focused sending or placing students to go to school in areas like, in a school like Sericho Secondary and Bulesa Secondary and Algani Girls, they lack boarding facilities. And yet, you are placing Form 1s to those schools from other parts of the counties. And we are left wondering.
Order, honorable members, order. Honorable members, if I understood the rules very well, this is a question and answer. You have a small opportunity to build up a background for a question, but not make a long statement on all the shopping list you have out there. So you can say in view of such and such and such, and then you ask a question.
Thank you.
Thank
you, Chair.
All
I'm trying to ask is how to take care of schools where they are not well equipped, the infrastructure is not to the standard that is expected. For the case of Isiolo, we only have one girls' national school. We don't have a boys' school. Secondly, low-cost boarding. The funding that is supposed to low-cost boarding, to go to low-cost boarding that is serving the ASAL counties very well, has gone down dramatically. We really want to understand why. Why? Because the reason why this concept was established in the first place is in line with the livelihood styles of these pastoralists. Because of the mobility, access, retention, and completion was a problem. So if you drop funding low-cost boarding, where do you expect these children to go? Lastly, Mr. Speaker, as you're aware, last El Nino affected so many schools. There are villages that were submerged. There are schools that were completely destroyed. Some villages opted to move to higher ground. There are no facilities in terms of learning to happen in those villages. I know CDF is supposed to do something around that, but the mandate to ensure that every child is in a school lies with the ministry. As I speak, in my county, a town center called Iresaboru, there is no learning happening at all.
Honorable
because there are no schools.
Please ask a question.
So my question to that effect, Mr. Speaker, is what do you intend to do with learners who are still at home because schools were washed away?
Fair enough. Yeah, the MP for Bomet, you take a few, Honorable Minister. MP for Bomet.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
I'm talking about the lady. You are not the MP for Bomet. Bomet is a county. I'm talking about when it's a county, MP for counties are all ladies. Proceed, the MP for Bomet.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for protecting ladies. Thanks also for giving me this opportunity to also contribute on the questions pertaining Ministry of Education. I only have 3 questions to put across. One is about the issue of capitation. I would like to ask the Minister, there are some schools in my county, even especially in my ward, that they have not received capitation. Secondly is about the JSS, that is junior secondary schools. In my county also, there are some schools which has not been registered, and the learners are in class, despite meeting all the requirements, they has not been registered. Thirdly is about the localization. You realize in our county again, and I know even in many other counties, some of the teachers has been posted in very far away from home. Like today, they are breaking for half term. You see, some of them they took even 1 week to travel from where they are to home. So we would like to really seek the clarification. Despite looking for those transfers, they have not been considered. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance. Thank you.
I think 2 more follow-up questions if we have to finish this business. The Honorable Member for Funyula, Oundo, you ask your follow-up question. I might have to just go by this because when you lift your hands, I don't know the names, but I'll use this one just to try and figure out who is who. Proceed.
Chair, now
let them be questions. Let them be questions. No, not long statements.
No, I'm just going to ask a question.
A follow-up question, yes.
Yeah, just a follow-up question. And I just want to follow up with what my colleagues have raised. The issue of capitation. Could the Cabinet Secretary, if possible now, give an update of capitation to both primary and secondary school for the financial year 2022, 2023, and 2023-2024. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Fair enough. The MP for MP for Kilgoris, the Honorable Simkuli Julius.
Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the Minister what the policy is with regards to enrollment per class, because there are so many schools now that are losing students in Kilgoris constituency, whereas their neighboring schools are overcrowded. One classroom has 80 students, another classroom in a neighboring school has only 20 students. Is there a policy that the ministry is going to say that each school can only admit 40 students per class to enable schools to thrive and teaching to go on well?
Kiborek, followed by the gracious lady, MP for Githunguri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question goes to Waziri CS Machogu, Honorable. My question is on insecurity and banditry. Coming from Baringo, Mr. Speaker, sir, we've lost teachers. We have a burial of a teacher tomorrow, one Thomas Kipet, who was killed by bandits. And my question to CS and the ministry, what plan do you have on compensating teachers who are killed on line of duty? Because they lose their life serving this nation, they lose their lives serving our children, and they are not taken care of, their families are not taken care of by ministry. Second question to Bwana CS is on our schools, which has been affected by banditry. Schools have been closed, and the ministry have not come clear on the plan they have to protect our children and our schools. Together with the Ministry of Defense and Interior, you must not give us lip service in terms of protecting our children. It's not something that we'll take it lying that you give us an excuse, explanation that Bwana CS, that you have security or watchmen or NPR protecting the schools, and we have real situation where we lost a teacher last week who was blind. His burial is tomorrow, Thomas Kibet, and he was killed by bandits. We have a case of our children who are killed by bandits in school. What should we do? Should we surrender to fate, or should you give us a direction on what the ministry is planning in collaboration with Ministry of Interior and Defense in protecting our schools and protecting our children? Give us a substantive answer, Bwana Speaker, Bwana CS, and give us a serious, candid confidence that our children will be safe in schools. The president has given us
Honorable Kiborek asks questions.
I'm asking what plan does he have to protect our schools? Okay. My second question is on compensation of teacher who was killed in line of duty and many other teachers who have been killed in Baringo. I want the CS to come clear, not sugarcoating the answers. Thank you.
MP for Githunguri, followed by the MP for at the back there. Turkana, is it? Yeah, Turkana, yes. Some Turkana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question to the CS in charge of education, Bwana Machogu, is concerning schools that have sponsors. I am sure we have interacted over this matter in the past, Bwana CS, and this issue is touching many schools. And I have a school in my constituency that has refused to absorb a teacher from TSC because the church or the sponsor is against that teacher. To what extent should the sponsors dictate which teacher reports to what school? What is the power of the sponsor in determining which teacher is posted in certain school? And can I get an answer as to when will Kagema Primary School get a principal who was rejected by the sponsor after the community requested for a change? Thank you.
Proceed, Mheshimiwa, and then followed by the MP for Chepalungu, and then followed by the gracious lady there. That's the MP for who?
Turkana East.
And Gwen does not have a lady member of parliament.
Mr. Speaker, I just want to ask the CS two questions. One, on the issue of junior secondary education, schools, students. Because in my constituency, a school called Parekati, since the start of junior secondary education, or those students, they have not got any teacher or any benefit from the GSS, like the other schools. Those students are still at home. Up to now, they have no where to go because they don't have teachers, they don't have classes, and they are just there in their former primary school. Are you aware that those students that are there, they don't have teachers? Secondly, 3 schools in my constituency, Morule Mixed Secondary School, Kangtit Boys Secondary School, and Lokui, AIC Lokui Secondary School. All of them, they don't have Form 1s. And this has become as a result of the new way of selection of students from the ministry itself, which it has affected the schools. As we are seated here, those schools, they don't have Form 1s. What is the role or the plans the ministry has for these schools to have Form 1 so that the school can run like the other schools?
Proceed, Madam. I'm trying to use this thing, and I don't know whether you're using your card. I know you've been there for a while, but then I know. Okay, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity to also speak about, on behalf of the students who have finished and they have done their Kenya secondary certificate. Many of them have done, but they have not been given their certificates. And reason being that they have school fees balances. This question has been raised very many times. Each and every time the CS is here, it has been raised, but he has never answered to tell us the urgent intervention. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to imagine if in every constituency we have 100 students who have finished their learning in that institution, they have done their examination, but they are not allowed to pick their certificate just because of school balances. Don't you think we are taking this country aback? Mr. Speaker, sir, I just want to ask the CS, what urgent intervention is he going to do about this? Because we cannot allow our children to stay at home just because of school balances, which, of course, in fact, some of them have been wasted just because of school balances. And Mr. Speaker, sir, I know very well before every examination. There is an examination fee that is paid for examination. So I don't know the relationship between that certificate with school balances. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I have the second question. And my second question is, I want to ask the minister whether the sponsors of schools have more powers than the TSC, who are actually the managers of all teachers in this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
The MP for Chibalungu.
Thank you, Speaker. Not to appear like I want to guide you, but Speaker.
Order. You have, it's not a right for you to catch the Speaker's eye. If that's what you're talking about, and I could see you gesticulating, you're going
it's not about that.
It's a very dangerous, what do you call it, area. But then the management of the House has nothing to do with you. If you have a point of order to raise, you raise it. But if you think you have not gotten time, no member has got any more right than any other member.
Well, guided Speaker.
In any case, order. In any case, I know you're worried about why you did not get a chance earlier. You want to see the list? You're way down there. So it's not a right to catch the Speaker's eye. Proceed and ask the question.
Well-guided Speaker, I was to speak about members who rise to answer questions which are in the order paper. My point of concern, it wasn't guiding the Speaker. I just wanted to seek for procedure. Yes.
The chair is the one who chairs this plenary. Ask your question.
Thank you, Speaker. While I want to go back to my constituency, and I'm asking a follow-up question on JSS. Just to make you aware, Bwana CS, Honorable Machogu, that my constituency has 201 registered primary schools, out of which 112 were approved to offer, to domicile the CPC, that is junior secondary school, a balance of which have had pupils, young pupils, traveling for long distances to be able to get this particular service. My question to you is, I would like to know the criteria that a ministry is using to approve one school and to disapprove the other one. And number two, on the same, are you using the same criteria to approve schools that are in rural areas and to approve schools that are in urban centers? Number three, to you, CS, state the measures by the ministry to speed up the approval process for the remaining schools in Chepalungo constituency to junior secondary school centers, considering the increased dropouts amongst children who lack the resources to travel for long distances to attend the approved schools. And another question on the same is on the recruitment of teachers. And I would like the CS to explain why there are disparity in recruitment of teachers, particularly those who are serving as interns and have since graduated between 2016 and 2018. Yet their counterparts who graduated in 2019 have been recruited as replacement teachers on permanent and pensionable terms. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, I would like the CS to provide timelines in which the teachers under contract will be considered for recruitment under permanent and pensionable terms. Thank you, Speaker.
This is precisely why I would want to guide the House. When you have to ask a follow-up question, you ask a follow-up question that is relevant to the principal question. You're not going to ask any question if you've not been able to, if you, like the stuff you're asking right now, has nothing to do with the question by the MP for Nyakach Aduma Award on the provision of the criteria to disburse infrastructure, the issue of special needs, and the issue to address inadequate infrastructure in junior secondary schools. You mentioned a bit on the junior secondary schools. But, order, honorable members, if you have to strictly, it's a process that we will all allow a bit of a leeway because we are getting our footing on this of cabinet secretaries coming in. But please try and ask a follow-up question relevant to the principal question that was asked. I'll take 2 more questions, actually 3 more questions, and then I'll allow the Honorable Minister to answer that. One is the MP for Loima, and then followed by the MP for Kwanza and the MP for Mgwen. And then he will answer those questions. Then we go to the next.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to ask the Cabinet Secretary 2 questions. One, is the enrollment the only criteria used in distributing infrastructure in schools? Because that's what I've seen, because constituencies like mine got only 2 million, which is equivalent to 2 classrooms, and having more than 75 primary schools and 15 secondary schools. So 2 million will not be enough. Secondly, what is the criteria for a LIMU scholarship? Because in the previous years, we used to get a good number of slots, but this particular year, we only got slots that were equivalent to 2 students per ward, which was very low. Like my constituency only got 8 because I have 8 votes, and other constituencies that are neighboring mine also got an equivalent share. Are we regressing or are we progressing? Because how can you get 100 slots this time and then the next year you get only 8? And the third one is it fair and responsible? Is it fair and responsible to transfer more than 20 teachers in one constituency without replacing? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Very good and very short. Yeah. We proceed. The MP for Kwanza. Ask your follow-up questions.
Yeah, further question, Mr. Speaker. Thank you so much. The welfare, my question is related to the question number 3 that was asked by the member for Dakoreti. For the welfare and security of our children, Bwana CS, and I'm sure this is going to implement, there is this welfare of the children. There's a counseling and the counseling school, the guidance and the counseling schools, which used to be there our days. Because you'll find that the Swahili people say, Mutoto mleavyo ndio ukwavyo. Our children now, after school, they are not doing what they're supposed to. So I want to find out from you, Bwana CS, whether you are going to now restress this counseling and guiding on the schools, because that is where we have a problem in this country, and if we let it go like that, there's going to be a problem. Secondly, and last one, Mr. Speaker, I also want to find out...
Order. You said a follow-up question that was asked by the MP
was,
for Dagoretti?
Pardon me?
MP for Dagoretti?
Yeah, but because of the death we had that you actually mentioned, where the children actually got drowning. In fact, in my own case, Mr. Speaker, a child jumped from a moving vehicle because, there's no guidance. So I'm just asking the ministry to come up with a program for counseling and for counseling and of course to be able to guide the children on what should be done. My last one is
we're giving you a bit of a leeway. You're asking a follow-up question for a question that has already been disposed.
No.
Order. The question
counseling
by
and for counseling and guiding.
Order, Honorable MP for Kwanza. Order. You are asking order. Sit down. You are asking for order and take your seat. You are asking a follow-up question on a principal question that was asked by the MP for the Great South. Am I right? Am I right? You mentioned the MP for the Great. Just ask a question quickly. I think we are flouting all the rules, but proceed and just ask.
Okay.
Considering your age,
the other question I'm asking is that some teachers are in schools when a minister, and the performance of schools are in very, very bad state. how do you go about changing the leadership in those schools?
Fair enough. Daniel. The other MP had given an opportunity, the MP for Mgwen. And one last one I will allow is the MP for the Goreti, is it North or Elachi Beatrice? Yeah, proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My question to the CS concerns there are schools in Nandi County, specifically Mgwen constituency, within Kapsabet municipality. There are close to 9 schools, yet they have not received the enhanced allowances. I'm not sure, is the minister aware of the same? And if he's aware, what action is he going to take so that the rest of the schools within the municipality can receive the enhanced allowance? Okay. Secondly, and the last question is an issue where every time a head teacher or a principal leaves a school, we always have an acting principal. So the principal may act for 2 years or 3 years. When a principal is posted to that school, the acting principal ceases to become the principal. The person, that person feels humiliated once we get in a new principal. So even if the same principal is transferred elsewhere, the same person will remain acting. The next time again a new principal comes in, the same person feels demoted. What action would you take so that these people don't feel demoralized in that acting capacity? This has happened in several schools, and the same person loses respect and somehow feels humiliated. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Elachi, I noticed that you have your own question also, which is coming up. 2 questions. As a matter of fact, you have 2 questions. I suggest you try and fit in as well as you can, because there are too many questions that are supposed to be answered as a follow-up question to this particular one. CS, continue. Proceed.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, sir. There are a number of questions, including others which are appearing. But I will seek the
questions that you feel not prepared for because it was not there as a principal question. I think you can just skip.
Yeah, thank you.
Members of Parliament will be at liberty to fill those questions later.
Member of Parliament from Ishiro, that there is only one national school, girls' school in Ishiro. Yes, and it's only about 2 weeks ago that I was in that particular school with His Excellency the President. Honorable members, you know, we are in a country where the greater percentage of our students are not in national schools or in extra county schools, but in what we call as day schools. 66% of our schools are actually day schools. So our main challenge is that we have to improve the day schools, because that is the way to go. Because as much as each and every one of us would like our children to be in national schools schools only constitute about 1.something% of the total requirement of what we can be able to accommodate at any given time. The Presidential Working Party report again, which will be coming in this House for debate, adoption or otherwise, one of the recommendations is that members will have to discuss and give us a way forward is on the classification of schools, whether it should be able to continue that way or whether we require to vary and change that particular system, including what we call as a comprehensive school, is a matter that this House would also have to discuss, because ours as the implementers, the executive, we will be able to implement once you give us the way forward. Low-cost boarding schools, yes, actually with the nomadic kind of life of a number of our communities in this country, what has really assisted the 100% transition in this country's low-cost boarding school. We know we do funding to these particular schools. It might not be enough. Again, this is one of the other issues that again we have requested this House to give us enough funds, because it's a very, very critical issue. If we have to improve the quality of running in those areas, again, retaining those particular children and the students in the schools such that they can be able to complete their studies. A school that was washed away, Mheshimiwa, in infrastructure said we also cover for emergency, either natural or human caused calamities, and I think I was with you. You require to bring it up so that from there we can be able to see with the Member of Parliament how we can be able to assist that particular school. The Member of Parliament for Bomet, schools not being considered for capitation, schools not registered. Mheshimiwa, again, I think if we can be particular and specific, say that either me or the PS, we know which particular schools are this, and for sure we should be able to take the necessary remedial action in that. Capitation from Member of Parliament again from Funura. I think there's a question on capitation where I should be able to give all the necessary answers. There is a question from the Member of Parliament from Nakuru County, but Honorable Barama asked the same question on issues and schools denying giving students their certificates. That question is in the order paper, and I will be able to answer it at the right time. The Member of Parliament for Gregoris, the ideal number in a classroom, we say 45. The ratio, of course, 1 to 45. If it is our universities, we say it is supposed to be 1 to 20. If it is our TVET institutions, we say 1 to 30. But members, you know, you come from these areas. Because of factors beyond our control, the 100% transition, which of course was a very positive thing for this country, it has had enormous impact, but also challenges where sometimes we have 60 per classroom, even sometimes beyond. We went to a school in Roysambu where a classroom was 80. If you go to Olympic school in Kibra, you will also be able to see the kind of problems we have, but progressively as we move forward, I think we will be able to improve this situation. As we improve the infrastructure, we are also employing more teachers, as we have done, because ever since independence, I think 56,750 teachers in a year is actually in itself a record, and we hope that progressively we should be able to tackle this. Baringo, my friend from Mogotio, yes, what happens in case a teacher dies, I think we have workmen compensation scheme something, but I will have to check on this so that I'm able to see and confirm what the law provides. But I know there should be something, but you will be able to allow me to check, because I don't want to give you an answer based on guesswork. I want to give you an answer based on proper facts and grounded in the law. Junior school, no teacher, no Form 1s. It's unfortunate if we have a school that does not have Form 1. Honorable Speaker, I was in Nyeri County today. We had an education day, and actually one of the challenges that was mentioned to me was that there are schools where classrooms were built, but we don't have pupils, we don't have enough students. I can see this particular one. Any case must be able to have certain factors which are contributing to this. So I cannot be able to give an answer why there are no Form 1s, because unless we know the specific schools is when we will be able to know what the factors are made it such that we don't have Form 1s in that particular school. And we have tried as much as possible to provide teachers for junior schools, but kindly, Mheshimiwa, again, we are recruiting another 20,000 in case there is such a school where we have our Kenyan pupils attending that school and we don't have teachers. Kindly, let us consult between myself or my peers, and I'm sure we should be able to find a remedy for that. The criteria we used in establishing junior schools, we did issue guidelines which were given out to each and every sub-county, and of course there were, among others, the level of enrollment in that particular school, because if you go to a school and get that there are only 5, the enrollment is only 5, and also the distances are not such that one cannot be able to travel from one school to another, then those are some of the considerations we made, such that the available resources, may they be human, may they be material or technical, are optimally used. And as of now, I think we have about 28,000 junior schools, and I know a number of members of parliament, even after we concluded the exercise, some of them came directly to me, to my peers, others to regional directors, others to county directors, and we were flexible. We were able to consider, and where need be, we increase the number. And even now, if you have such a case, we can be able to consider each and every case on its own merit. Recruitment of interns, you know, the policy of government, not only on recruitment of teachers, but all over, thousands of our young people are coming out of higher institutions of learning and the middle-level colleges. So it really gives them an opportunity to earn some income while they are waiting for permanent and pensionable employment. And the maximum period that they serve in order for them to be absorbed on permanent and pensionable terms is 2 years. And our teachers, when you interact with a number of them, because that is my work and that's what I do, for sure, they will tell you they are very happy with the government system and the policy of giving them internship as they wait to be absorbed on permanent and pensionable terms. Because even those who are employed on board of management, by board of management, when you look at the terms, the ones serving as interns are better as opposed to these other ones. And we know at the fiscal space, members, because you are the one who give us budget, as the fiscal space and the economy of this country improves, then even the period of 2 years will be reduced to probably 1 year as things improve, because our people, we appreciate what they do, and we have to give them what is very best. A RIM scholarship, we normally give out an advert which was countrywide. This particular year, we took 14,345, and the criteria was that you have to get some kind of minimum score, and the minimum score was 280 marks in KCPE. Apart from that, you have to come from a family background that the income is not beyond a certain level, and we are catering for those families which, of course, are the poor and the very poor. And when we rolled out this particular program in Bomas of Kenya, if you had an opportunity of coming and seeing those, a number of those children coming without shoes, and even the kind of clothes they were putting on, you would have confirmed that indeed they came from family backgrounds that they will not be able to raise the kind of fees required in our national extra county schools and county boarding schools. The member of parliament for Kwanza is that yes, what criteria is used for change of leadership, sometimes poor performance in a school. There are many factors which determine the performance of a school. Of course, one component is the teacher, the head teacher, but again, parental involvement, community involvement, all these other factors, such that we can really not apportion blame to only teachers. But again, we have quality assurance officers, and we are trying to activate the role of quality assurance officers, because what is supposed to inform certain decisions to be made, even teacher service commission, to transfer a teacher or get another head teacher to such a school, is a report on quality assurance. What is it that is happening in that particular school? Why is the performance of such a school not the required level or standards? And that is why we have said we have to work as one between the ministry and Teacher Service Commission, because we are serving that one child, and we will be able to make better decisions which will be able to improve our quality of education once we have that one done. The question from the Member of Parliament from Mwen, Nandi, enhanced allowances for those in Kapsabet town, and I think there's an equivalent question, is that Teacher Service Commission, I think I've answered that question somewhere, I think from the Member of Parliament for Kisumu, that Teacher Service Commission say there is information they wanted and they are not been able to get that particular information from those particular two schools. So Kapsabet also kindly give us those two cases, because I told my officers that we don't require until communication was, I even told them, take a phone, now that we know what Teacher Service Commission is saying, call those particular schools and let us get the information required, so that from there the teachers can be able to benefit from the allowance that is actually their right to benefit. So those in Kapsabet town, my friend, in case there are such cases, kindly bring it to our attention, so that we can be able to convey the same information to Teacher Service Commission, because we work as one team, and I'm sure the necessary action will have to be taken. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I think others are on the question, and I will be able to answer them as they come, including guidance and counseling.
That one is a substantive question on that. I've just noticed that by the Honorable Pasaris. So you came a bit too fast, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Kwanza. But anyway, next one is the next question. The Honorable Atandi, he has nominated the Honorable Esther Pasaris to ask that question on his behalf, but you'll also proceed and ask the question that you also asked, which is the next one. Proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to ask the Cabinet Secretary of Education, question 023 of 2024. Could the Cabinet Secretary, 1, explain why the Ministry has been disbursing an average capitation grant of Kenya shillings 17,000 per learner instead of the marked capitation grant of Kenya shillings 22,244 per learner to public secondary schools? 2, elaborate on how the Ministry expects the schools to operate with the average capitation of Kenya shillings 17,000 per learner, considering the other bills which the school caters for, such as water, electricity, support staff, salaries, and other recurrent bills.
Proceed, ask the next question, which is yours.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to ask question number 024 of 2024 to the Cabinet Secretary of Education. Could the Cabinet Secretary elucidate the measures being undertaken by the Ministry to bolster the guidance and counseling departments in public schools, ensuring its prominence and significance within the school curriculum? Thank you.
Proceed, Minister. Can you answer those questions?
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and I thank the Member of Parliament for raising that question. As members of Parliament are aware, or of us are aware, the free primary education program was started in this country in 2003, while the free day secondary school program was started in the year 2008. The free junior secondary school program started the other day with the first grade 7 cohort in the year 2023. The capitation rate for free day secondary education were reviewed by the task force on secondary school fees, as said then by 2014, the Kiremi Mwiria, popular known the Kiremi Mwiria task force. The task force was established to review the costs of secondary school education, which had grown astronomically, and the number of Kenyans were not able to afford this because there are schools which had gone to as high as 200,000. So it was necessary for government to come in and provide a guideline on this. It is indeed true that the approved capitation grant for secondary schools is Kenya shillings 22,000. The amount is supplemented by household contributions that parents pay as boarding fees, which in national schools is 53,000, in extra county schools the same, and in county boarding schools 45,000. Out of the 22,000 which is supposed to be paid per annum for secondary schools, we had split down the figure. If you can see on the schedule, the 40 head, and the amount running and teaching materials and exams was supposed to take 4,144. Repairs, maintenance, and improvement was supposed to take 5,000. Local travel and administrative costs, electricity, water, and conservancy was supposed to take 9,400. Activity fees, and medical and insurance 1,500, and another 2,000, making a total of 22,244. And for the last 5 years, Honorable Speaker, sir, the capitation is given a certain sort of the approved rate, leading to underfunding of our schools. While the enrollment in the schools continues to grow on account of the government's 100% transition policy, the funding has not increased proportionally. The enrollment has been growing by 5.71% annually, while the average percentage increase in the government funding is 4.08 annually. In the circumstances, the ministry is compelled to divide the affordable amount with the number of runners, of course, which has been increasing yearly. And this results in capitation that are lower than the approved rate. To illustrate this, there is a table I've given there indicating the amount from 2018 up to 2022, and let me only cover now 2022-2023 financial year, where the amount that we were supposed to receive was 88,723,744. The amount approved in the budget by this house was only 64,421,865,698, meaning that we had a deficit of 17,666,873,584. And therefore, rather than 22 giving the approved figure of 22,240, the amount that we gave per annum was 17,456, because we couldn't give what we did not have, what we had not been given by this House. To address the underfunding, we have continuously engaged the National Treasury as well as Parliament, I think through the Committee of Education, those who are here, through the Committee of Budget, and of course there are other issues also to be taken into consideration issues of inflation, issues of escalation of food prices, and therefore it is our appeal to this Honorable House to enhance the ministry's budget so that the capitation is provided at the approved rate. And I promise that once you give us at the approved rate, at least for some years to come, we will not be able to request that the parents chip in, that we have to increase the school fees, because parents are equally facing other challenges. The second set of the question is that, of course, if we were to get the approved rate as our assessment is, it will be adequate to support the needs and operations of the schools, especially in schools that have an optimal enrollment, and considering the economies of scale. It is critical, therefore, that this House supports the ministry and schools by providing an adequate budget. In the meantime, with the limited resources available, what, as a ministry, we encourage schools to do is to adopt the following measures to optimally use their capitation as provided by the ministry. And some of the measures that we normally insist that they have to do is budget prioritization, get to the very priorities, because as much as they would want to do much, we don't have adequate. As much as possible, we are also encouraging that, and of course, we insist on efficient resource utilization in order for our members and our students to continue running. I'll get to the other question before members can raise questions, where guidance and counseling. Honorable Chairperson, of course, we know the kind of challenges in our contemporary time, the emerging issues which were never there before in our schools, such as school violence, alcohol, drugs, substance abuse, mental health challenges, teenage pregnancy. All these are issues which are very common in our schools. And in order to mitigate on this, there is need for a strong investment in the guidance and counseling framework. And one of the areas and the steps we have taken as a ministry to bolster the guidance and counseling department in our public schools includes the following. One is on policy development, where we developed and implemented guidelines for the establishment and functioning of counseling department in our schools. The guidelines provide a framework for the provision of guidance and counseling, and emphasize the importance of these services in our schools. Training and professional development of the people who use as counselors in our schools is one other thing that we undertake as a ministry. We cooperate very closely with other stakeholders such as NACADA and other NGOs, faith-based organizations, in order to enhance the reach and the impact of counseling services in our schools. We also try to inform students to discuss amongst themselves on the need of avoiding some of these social vices which can be harmful to them. And finally, and more importantly, we have engaged with the faith-based sponsors of schools to provide chaplain services in schools. The chaplains support guidance and counseling services while also anchoring the runners in religious values. The ministry is also working in anchoring the training of teachers, particularly of religious subjects, if it is Christians, CRE, if it is Muslim, Islam religious education, so that they can offer the services of chaplaincy where the sponsors cannot be able to do the same, because unlike those years when we were growing up, when the entire community would find you doing something that was not proper and you are given instant discipline, the society has now become a little bit of individualized. People don't allow that, and that's why we have to develop this in our schools to mitigate on the challenges that we have in our schools. And of course, as we move on progressively, we are also monitoring the situation so that we go improving on the policies and the guidelines as set by the ministry. I submit.
Honorable Esther Passaris, you will take the first bite.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. CS, thank you for the answers. I would like to ask, in terms of the capitation, I have seen that we've never really reached in the table that you've provided to 22,000. We've been declining and stuck on 17,000. Are you aware that right now all the secondary schools, I can speak for my county, but I'm sure it's the same across the country, all schools are being ordered by parents in excess of between 10 million and 30 million for unpaid fees by the parents. Even the bursaries that we give is not able to cushion the schools. And if the capitation is not there as well, in spite of the fact that we give a rule that no child should be sent home, a lot of children are being sent home. And at the same time, the schools are literally paralyzed in terms of their operation. Does the CS know the amount of money that is owed to schools over and above the capitation reductions by parents over the years? And is there any plan to cushion the schools in your budget, considering that if we don't, then the schools are going to be completely paralyzed? When it comes to transition, you talk about, on number 27, you talk about the government's target of 100% transition. Is the CS aware that of the numbers of students that have not yet reported to school because of limitations by the families to buy the school uniforms, the books, and also to pay the fees? And what is the plan of the government and the ministry to ensure that we do something towards cushioning the families that have not been able to send their children to school, and to attain the 100% transition? On the question on counselors and guidance, CS, I wanted to know whether you're aware that in 2014, this August House passed the Counselors and Psychology Act of 2014. And, you know, while you talk about working with religious leaders and with the rise in mental health, I was just wondering whether you and the Ministry of Health, in this issue of guidance and counseling, are working to operationalize the Counseling and Psychology Act of 2014, because we cannot leave mental health to religious institutions. Mental health requires professionals who are trained to be counselors and psychologists, and most schools, private schools, actually provide that. And I feel that that failure to provide counseling and guidance to our students in public schools is the reason why we end up with suicides, high dropouts, and poor results. So are you aware about the Counselors and Psychologists Act of 2014? And are you thinking of a multi-sectorial approach with the Ministry of Health on the same? Thank you.
Order. Just relax. Okay, yeah, the Honorable Abraham Kirwa, the Honorable MP for Nyula, the Honorable says Julius Ruto, Mulyungi, D. Gideon. Okay, in that order, then we'll have a second round.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to ask this question to the CS of Education. My question goes back, Speaker, to the issue of delocalization, specifically affecting my constituency of Mosop. A huge number of teachers, Mr. Speaker, were transferred to Vihiga and several parts of the country. But when the delocalization came to an end, most of those teachers who wanted to come back were requested that you have to have somebody who is supposed to exchange with you so that you can come back. They did application, but most of the application was not approved. And as such, Mr. Speaker, the number of teachers in my constituency is very low because most of those who were there during the legalization left, but those who were supposed to come back, very small number of them came back. So my question,
Honorable Abraham Kirwa.
My question, Mr. Speaker, is what is the ministry doing to make sure that most of my teachers who are from the constituency are approved to come back to the constituency? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Kirwa and the rest of the members of parliament, the question on delocalization is different. These two questions are strictly on capitation and cancelling. Order. It's strictly on capitation and cancelling. And I think we will go very far if we confine ourselves to that. But for the time being, because this is a pilot project, I mean, we just had now cabinet secretaries coming in, we're allowing this leeway. But it's time the parliament begins getting adjusted to that kind of a tradition. Yes, proceed. He will still answer your question, but how did I, what was the order of the oh, okay, yeah, okay, Keses, and then Funyula. And then the man in the yellow, what's the,
Thank you so much.
He's asking on your behalf also? Yes. Because you are raising your hand, okay, yes. Proceed.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I will just go straight to ask the question, but first of all, I appreciate the CS for Education for having time to appear in this parliament so that we're able to prosecute issues that touches on our education system. I want to follow up on the issues of registration of students on NEMIS, because I've realized over time the challenges we are having now is the low registration of students on NEMIS and what is contributing to low disbursement of the same. And as a result, as we talk now, I don't know whether the CS is aware that day schools have now reviewed their school fees upwards from where it used to be average of 8 and 10, now it's on 12 up to 15. And the reason behind it is that they cannot foot the cost, because whatever they receive now in terms of capitation is way below that they cannot manage operational cost. So I wanted to know what alternative mechanism we are going to do, because they are facing a lot of challenge in registration. The other issue is on the aspect of, we touched on counseling, but I also want to look at the issue of management of the institution. We have the BOM, the committees who are managing. There are schools that have had retention of this BOM for more than decades. And whatever they're doing now, indirectly they're meddling about the management of the school and running on of the school. What is the plan that the ministry is doing to ensure we either retrain them or look at the issue of rotational and changing them? Case in hand, Mr. Speaker, we are now working with the NGCDF, and when the committee decides to work on labor-based, the challenges we are facing in how this money is being absorbed by the same committee.
But ask the question.
So I'm asking the question, yes, that is what are they going to do?
Okay, fair enough.
I'm just giving an example. And then lastly, though it's on a policy direction, the issue of the same management. There are many schools now that they are going without head teachers. Case in Keringet Secondary School in my area and Tuluet Secondary School and many others. And now management of those schools is at stake. There is no proper decision making on the same. Thank you so much.
Yes, the MP for Funyula, and then Mulyungi, Honorable Mulyungi, and then we dispose of that question. Go to the next question.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'd actually raise this matter.
MP for Kwanza, would you want to ask again the council that you wanted to ask? Are you more enriched? The chair will give you an opportunity to ask if you want to ask another question.
Yeah, he will.
Because you're too passionate about counseling. But proceed, Funyula.
Chair, in view of the shortage, inadequate budgetary allocation, as the CS has put it, and I must admit I've not seen the table he has made reference to, but I do believe it's an indication that the National Assembly, which appropriates funds, has not provided adequate funds to the ministry to meet the set capitation level. Noting the high inflation and the increased costs of foodstuff and other equipment to the schools, noting the hard economic times the parents are going through, what are the intervention measures? And I want to emphasize what my colleague has raised. What are the intervention measures is the ministry thinking of? Because at the moment, schools are heavily indebted. Schools owe suppliers and service providers billions and billions of money. Actually, many of the local traders and small-scale players in the supply chain are literally limping badly because the schools are unable to pay because they have no money. Okay. What intervention measures? What are you intending to ask the parents to increase fees?
Express, you have asked it and leave it at that.
What is it? Thank you.
The MP for yeah. Proceed, Mwingi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mwingi Central.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, considering the fact that the CS, the ministry, and even His Excellency the President have been occasionally saying that no student should be sent home out of school because of lack of school fees. Is the minister aware that continuously, especially in my constituency, students are sent home regularly out of school because of lack of school fees? What measures has the ministry put in place to ensure compliance with those instructions so that students are not sent home? And further, what measures have you taken to make sure that the schools are sustainable? Because principals are forced to send students home because they do not have food to feed them. What measures have you taken? Thank you.
The MP for Kwanza, would you want to take a bite on the counseling that you are passionate about? At the wrong time, this is the right time now?
Yeah.
So proceed.
Well, you told me to shut up. But
no, order, continue.
But I excused you, Mr. Speaker. I know what you meant. Bwana CS, I want you to tell me about the TVET. I contributed my 10 million shillings for construction of TVET in Kwanza. And the ministry has not sent in the 60 million shillings. When are you going to do this? And of course, this is what the members are actually complaining about. Thank you.
Minister, you can proceed and answer those questions, then we'll go to the next question.
Yeah, thank you very much. One is on capitation. Members, as I said, I think this is one area that we admit we have a problem. And as I've said, the answer is nowhere apart from in this house. Indeed, you are the one who appropriate funds. And as I was saying, education is a fundamental constitutional right of this particular young people, as enshrined and clearly spelled out in Article 53, 1B. We can't really run away from it. And I think this particular year, because I have been able to have discussions and saying our figures are based on real numbers. And the real numbers will be able to give the exact figures that we require in terms of capitation. When you go through the budget policy statement, in a junior school, like you will see, we have a shortfall of almost over 10 billion. When you see the one for senior school, we have a shortfall of almost 20 billion. That is total 30 billion. And I think the cure, the solution, the answer lies with the members of parliament here. And the Honorable Speaker, I'm hoping that this time round, once you give us those figures, they will work out. I've had a meeting with all the principals of national schools. Among the discussions that we normally have with this, where they have numbers because of economies of scale, the truth of the matter is that they are able to manage, and particularly if we are able to give them the required figure, they will manage until some time when again most likely we'll be able to form a team, some kind of task force to do some assessment whether we have to increase school fees or not, because you also know the constituencies where you come from, that we want to make education accessible. We don't want to make it for a preserve of the very few, those of us who are able, because education is supposed to be the greatest social equalizer. So this one again, even the recommendations made in the Presidential Working Party, those of you who have had an opportunity of going through the report, there's even something we are bringing to you. Once you approve, I hope government and the parliament will be able to give funds on an essential package for those schools that don't have optimal numbers. So I think the solutions are in that recommendation and what parliament will be able to direct. The transition, one member said, the 100%, I think, member of parliament for Nairobi, we have figures for each and every county, and the 100% transition, I think initially when we started way back, struggling at 74%, now the total in the country is 98%. And Nairobi, I think if you come, I will be able to give you the figures. But again, we try to make efforts of mopping up with officers from Ngao. Why? Because once one gets some kind of minimal education, then that particular person will be able to manage himself, and he will be able to contribute in one way or the other in the socio-economic development of this country. Names, as I said earlier, I've noted the few programs that we have, and in order to deal with this particular program of NEMIS, members, as I undertook earlier, we have formed a joint team which is comprising of my officers in education, every state department, because we are going to have a unified and integrated system that is going to run from basic to tertiary, that is TVET, all the way up to university. And we have now a team comprising of officers, experts from ICT, experts from CONSA, and I'm hoping that in another period of 4 months, we should be able to have a system that is better, which will be able to give proper data, because we have had programs including our universities where we give capitation based on something that is given to us manually, and you can imagine the danger that we find ourselves in, because you can be given figures which are not right. So we want to get it right, and we are working on this. Board of management, they normally last for 3 years, renewable, and I think members, you play a very key role when at that particular level we don't interfere so much. We have district education boards who are the people who manage this, because also the effectiveness and the visions of these boards will determine the success of a school. If you can allow me, Honorable Chairperson, I can answer the one of the localization by the Member of Parliament from Masop, because I think it was again in the order paper, and I have the answer which I can give the figures and the kind of progress we have, where probably we have not been able to do 100% as required. But as things stand now, of course, you know the reverse of the localization policy. That one was approved. There is no question about it. We cannot now have a person being forced to be transferred, particularly from his home area to another area, because that policy has been reversed. A total of 25,625 teachers have so far applied for transfers countrywide. And out of those, 4,448 in secondary and 21,177 in primary, making the 25. A total of 22,345 teachers have been transferred. For secondary, 3,264, and also for primary, 19,081. A total of 3,280 teachers, which is for secondary, 1,184, and 2,096 in primary. Their application they have made are pending. They have not been transferred because of the following reasons. One, Honorable Speaker, sir, is that again, as we transfer, if we transfer in mass, we can also cause total chaos in schools. Because there are schools, unless you have a replacement, then there will be no teaching, there will be no running. So we have to work in a way that we have a replacement for those ones in order for us to effect, in order for Teacher Service Commission to effect the transfer. So they are pending and effective as we move on. Not that they have been forgotten, but waiting for such other replacements to be made. For principals also, there are quite a number who have applied for transfers from one county to another, and you find the county where they are applying to, there are a lack of vacancies in those particular positions, which is head teachers. So you find for now, we cannot be able to give a transfer. So because of those reasons, we are aware, and with the time, we will be able to effect the transfers, because as you can see, out of the 25,000 so far received, a good number have been transferred. I think I stop there for now, Honorable.
Now, next question, the MP for Arama. Honorable Arama.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Yes.
I have three questions to the Minister, Honorable Chair. Could the Cabinet Secretary explain why secondary schools across the country...
Order. You begin by saying, I wish to ask question 25.
I wish to ask question number 025
of
2024.
Okay, proceed.
Could the Cabinet Secretary, number one, explain why secondary schools across the country are withholding Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education, certificate of former students, on account of non-clearance of school fees, thereby denying them admission to higher institutions of learning and employment. Number two, stated that disciplinary actions that the ministry will prevail against principals of schools that withhold certificates. Number three, stated whether all schools will release withheld certificates to former students. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Mr.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Member for Nakuru Town West, Honorable Samuel Arama. Yes, we have a law which has been enacted by this August House by Parliament, which says it is against the law for any institution to withhold KCSE or KCPE certificates due to a student for any reason, including non-clearance of school fees. To be specific, if you go to the Kenya National Examination Council Act, which is an act of this Parliament, Section 10(1)(b), it clearly prohibits in institutions or any person, may it may it be a principal or a teacher from withholding NEC certificates or diplomas from the candidate. The ministry, we have issued guidance to all schools through the county directors of education, of course stating their legal position to the effect that no certificate is supposed to be withheld on account of non-clearance of school fees. And of course, I attached the copy of the circular. I know they are rogue as any other institution, as even crime. Of course, there are states that don't commit, but you find people committing. Even the Bible, the 10 Commandments say, don't do this, but people end in doing that. And, Honorable Speaker, my officers are under very firm instructions that any principal found, and I think even with Teacher Service Commission, we have made this clear, that it is an offense punishable under the rules of this country, and we will not hesitate to take decisive and a very firm action on this. The only thing, a culprit can never be known if information is not brought forward. And we cannot generalize. Kindly members, when we have specific cases, once they come to my notice, my peers and my officers in the field, sometimes even if they are not able to take remedial action, kindly let us know, because this is one area that we are very clear about, and we cannot be able to mess the lives of young people who require these documents in order to seek for employment or to go to the next level of their education. So kindly, in case also we find any such teacher outside, we will be able to take the necessary action. There are a few ones informed, they give excuses. Oh, their parents never came for the documents. Their students never came for the documents. And immediately they are informed, they give them out. Of course, trying to defend themselves in a manner and mitigate by saying nobody had gone to the school for this particular documents, but once we so find, we make sure that they are released with immediate effect. So kindly, Honorable Barama, in case of any such specific case, bring it to my notice or my peers, and then for sure we will be able to take remedial action. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Barama, you will have a bite at this.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think the CS has given a very good answer, but I think on the ground, it's not the same. It's very important that maybe, I've not this Annex 2, I'm not seeing it, what it says, but it's like the Ministry of Education people at the county level, they don't have this circular, because from my constituents, I've been having problems. I think I could maybe wish that I could have this Annex 2, the one you are talking about, because it's not here, so that we can follow. But I really think that it's very important that the head teachers and the principals are told that it's an offense to have these certificates withheld. Thank you so much.
Honorable Brighton, followed by MP for Funyula and the gracious lady.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for giving me this opportunity. I want to ask a question. Mr. Evans Kipkorir is a resident of my constituency. He sat for KCSE exams in 2022 and he scored a mean score of A-. He applied for courses in medicine and surgery and other options like nursing, but he did not get placement in 2022. And currently, when he tries to apply for to select courses, he only gets options for diploma. What happened to such cases, Bwana Waziri? Because this student and many others like him are getting disadvantaged.
Before Funyula.
Speaker,
Allied to the question of the KSC certificates and allied to what he has said, I'm sure the Cabinet Secretary is aware there has been very many challenges on the COSIP's portal. To an extent that even looking at the reports in the newspapers today, close to half of the eligible candidates have been unable to log in the COSIP's portal and select or apply for the courses at the universities and the other tertiary colleges. I know you have given instructions to extend the deadline to 4th March, but as I tell you today, I practically tried to assist a girl I paid for who is not a blood relative of mine, but up to the time I was coming here since morning, we had been unable to log into the system. Is it sabotage? Is it a system failure? Is it a manpower challenge? Or is it a scheme designed to deny the needy children of Kenya to access, to apply and get admission to public funded universities? Would wish to have your say, remembering that 4th March is only a few days away from today, and over half of the eligible students have not been able to access the portal.
Minister, proceed, and I think we will go to the next question.
Thank you very much. If I start with the last question, and thank you very much for raising it, I want to assure the members of this House and the Kenyans as a whole that I'm very much aware of this problem. Technology sometimes fails us. Like in this particular aspect, technology has been failing us. I've gotten a team, not only in my ministry, COOPS, but the ICT PS, Tanu is in it, the e-citizen PS, Professor Pitok is in it, the concert team is in it. Actually, I normally get reports each and every morning. Right now, if you were to get my phone, you will be able to see the kind of report I've gotten. And I have given an extension up to 4th of March. And I'm being given reports on what is going on a daily basis. And I hope the engineers, the experts in technology and in ICT will be able to sort out this particular program for us so that our students can be able to successfully apply and as the system works. So I'm monitoring, and by 4th, of course, I will be able to assess how many applications have gone through and how many, in case there will be any, that might have not gone through and why, and then I will be able to make another informed decision depending on the way things will be and the information that I will be able to get. My friend, the A- case, Brighton, I was not able to know what the problem is. It's a case that you require to kindly come so that we can be able to look at it, because this is a very bright child. We would not like the child to miss an opportunity, so create time. Some of these cases, once you come, I call the officers who are concerned with this. I'm sure we should be able to get a solution. My brother Mheshimiwa Arama, equally, I know what our people can do sometimes. Don't hesitate to come again so that we are able to deal with those individual cases in a manner that we will be able to assist those who might be suffering quietly, because that is the reason why we are here to serve. Thank you.
Next question, question 26 of 2024, the Honorable Joshua Oron, MP for Kisumu Central.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to ask question 026 of 2024 to the Cabinet Secretary for Education. Would the Cabinet Secretary explain why the teachers from Kudo Secondary School, Kudo Primary School and Obinju Kanyakwar Primary School are yet to receive their enhanced house allowances, yet their counterparts in other constituencies such as Kisumu West and Kisumu East are getting their said allowances, constituencies which are further away from the city. My second question is, could you provide timelines within which the affected teachers will receive their enhanced house allowances? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. When I received this question, I called the Teacher Service Commission and wrote a letter for them to provide me with the answers. And what they provided was that the two institutions were advised to submit the requisite documents to facilitate the reporting on the system. And they said they have not been able to receive it up to now from 2022, I don't know why. And that once they so receive, then the payment should be done immediately. And I have provided the two letters as Annex 3, and some of these are very simple and straightforward issues. I did tell my peers to call the county director, giving the names of these particular schools. We should be able to get information immediately because we don't want to dwell on bureaucratic red-tape procedures on issues that are fairly straightforward. So, Ms. Noah, if you find a chance in 1 or 2 weeks, I think you will get I should have sorted out this issue because really it's just a phone call away, and it doesn't cost me or my peers anything to get that information, and I've been able to instruct that my officers give the information so that we don't go on and forth that we are looking for a document and the document was not going to be obtained anywhere. It is in Kisumu. It is a straightforward matter, so probably in 2 weeks you should get in touch with me, and I think I should be able to have a positive answer, Honorable Speaker, on this.
The Honorable Oron, are you happy with that?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, CS, for the answer. But the reason why the schools had to come to me for an intervention is because this issue has been pending for many years. The document that you referred to in your response and your letter was actually delivered to TSC in September 2022, and I'll be very grateful if this issue is brought to a close, and I'll be back to you in 2 weeks if we don't get any answer. Thank you.
Fair enough. The Minister has given that undertaking. Next question is the two questions by the Honorable Beatrice Elachi. Proceed and ask your question.
To not more than 9 for junior school, and from 9 to not more than 7 for senior school. As noted, the government has taken proactive steps to ensure that junior school have the required infrastructure by 2025, when we shall have the inaugural grade 9 class in junior school. And that's why I say this financial year we have given the 3.9 billion, which will construct 6,000 classrooms, and the 9 billion, which we had to give from World Bank, another 9,000 classrooms. And therefore, when we come to next year, it will be able to give us the 15,000 and the 21 classrooms required for level 9. So in terms of teacher preparation, in terms of curriculum, working on the running areas, in terms of retooling our teachers, in terms of textbooks, in terms of looking at the 7 competence and skill areas, I think we are we had properly prepared and operationalized every step, and of course, few other challenges as they come, we try to mitigate on the same. Mr. Speaker, if you allow me, I can answer the other question before questions come on title, the public schools and the ownership documents. In this one, Honorable Speaker, as we are aware, the government came up with a directive in 2015 that all public schools should be titled. Consequently, a multi-sectoral technical working group consisting of the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Lands, the National Land Commission, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, together with civil society and other stakeholders under the umbrella of Sure Yango Alliance, was earmarked to spearhead the process of titling public schools. And as of now, the schools which the auditing which has been done for titling is for 20,273 schools. The schools where audit is still pending is 12,081. Schools that have so far been issued with title deeds are 11,974. Schools that have disputes where a little bit of encroachment might be done is around 1,423. And we have also established that the ones which are facing the risk of encroachment and land-grabbing are 4,100 schools, and we have the specific names. We have created awareness and sensitization amongst the community members and the local leadership so that they make sure this is not interfered with. And of course, school heads, as much as we have financial challenges, we also try to instruct that where possible, school runs should be fenced off, and clear beacons also installed so that we keep off the grabbers. And of course, getting the assistance of the local administration and the local leadership in trying to stop any such encroachment. So it is an ongoing process, and I think even if we sometimes face a few challenges, particularly on funding in order to accomplish the exercise, is something that we are determined and focused to make sure that we have it done. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Beatrice Elachi, you will have the first bite on both questions. Proceed.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to appreciate Waziri for the answers he has given, but just to notify him that why I asked the question of the CBC was because before he came in, the ministry had built classrooms in different schools. These classrooms, most of them were done in a manner that when you go in today, we are unable to use the classrooms. And I'll give you an example. One of the schools is Lavington Girls. The classrooms were done. We were never given stairs, yet it was done upstairs. When you look at now the level of the class and the others that we are doing, we are forced to remove the roof of these classrooms that were done by the ministries to fit in now properly in the other. And not just this, there's a school also, Dagoretti Mixed. They did classrooms. Those classrooms also were done upstairs, and they were left hanging. So it's a classroom nobody uses, it's just hanging on the top. We are wondering, do we bring it down, or what do we do? So we are facing those challenges, and I would wish the ministry to really assist us. before we bring them down, because we have to do a report to show reasons, or the engineer or the public works person will have to do that report to ensure that when we do it, we are not questioned. But indeed, it is very unfortunate that we have to do that, so that we are able now to levelize and make it a classroom that students can use. The other thing is Nairobi. I remember we did a supplementary budget, you and especially we thank the President and also you for standing in when we were at Resambu, and we went through a process where we were allocated 1 billion shillings. We did the appropriation in the supplementary budget. We made sure that each constituency had a certificate to how to receive the monies, and even calculated that each constituency in Nairobi, the 17, will get the 58 million. I would wish to, I know you were to have a meeting with us, but there was a lack of communication. So I just wish for us to understand what are we supposed to do, because I have State House girls right now. They are learning in tents. We need to do an emergency there. And I also have St. George's, where we have 6 or 7 Form 1s. We are supposed, on that one I have agreed to do for them a quick multi-purpose hall to assist. But then I would wish you also assist in a letter I wrote some way back, and I handed it over to you and the PS. It was to support Lavington girls, to try and see how we can do for them a dining, since they are still using the primary side, and we would wish to change so that they go back to their side, and so that the junior secondary can take the buildings that were meant for the primary. Thank you.
Minister?
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Chair, Honorable Speaker. The classroom done during that time, of course, a number of them are in use, but you know, some of these policies which are done without public participation, that is the danger. Because I think the initiative was already done, and later on, when His Excellency the President in his wisdom appointed the presidential working team which went around the country getting views and opinions from the people were able to have a way forward. They gave us an answer. And because of that, we had to domicile level 7 in the existing primary schools. Of course, where we find they are not of proper use, or where they were not properly reviewed, I think that is a conversation, Honorable Member, we can have, and then we agree on the way forward. The 58 million, I think, as of now, you should be able to do the identification of the specific projects that you will be able to do within your constituency. I'm sure you have been able to get your priorities, and ours, what we are trying to push is for exchequer to be issued, so that now you can be able to commence with implementation of the projects that you would have been able to identify. Sorry, Honorable Speaker, I did not answer the question from the Member of Parliament from Kwanza. The 52 million for Kwanza is available, and I think we in consultation with him, we will be able to get a mentor, so that we are able to forward those particular funds to him and the mentor for implementation of that particular project of Kwanza TTI. Thank you, and I so submit.
Yeah, Honorable Mrs. Elachi to ask again.
Not to really ask, but to thank Waziri,
yes.
But to just, he doesn't need to answer now, because it's a question parents of Kaba girls had asked me that students of 2021 did their examination and they have never received what happened to their results. I know you don't need to answer, but I can come for an answer to understand what happened to these girls.
Yeah, please, Honorable Speaker, if the member can come. These are some of the things, when you come 5-10 minutes in my office, I will be able to get the officer concerned if it is neck, and then, of course, we will be able to get answers, what might have happened, because somehow I cannot be able to give a guesswork answer, so kindly the member to come, and then me and the PS will be able to establish why and what the status is.
Honorable Elachi, you have that undertaking by the minister. Take advantage of that and see that you avoid any bureaucracy and get to the bottom of this thing. Minister, thank you very much, you and your team. And I think we have come to the end of the business today, the question and answer time for your ministry. The House is happy, you can see it. So wish you all the best. You're excused. You're excused. Next order.
Order number 16, the Employment Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 11 of 2022, second reading, resumption of debate.
Yes, the chairman, chair of the...
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I think I had gone before and spoken to this bill. And the Honorable Speaker, the bill was read the first time on 17th of August 2023, pursuant to Standing Order 127-1. The bill was committed to the Departmental Committee on Labor for consideration and facilitation of public participation. Honorable Speaker, the principal object of this bill is to provide for the right to disconnect in the digital age. This bill seeks to address increased employee burnout. Digital connectivity has also been noted to be slowly eroding leisure time for employees, hence affecting their work-life balance. This bill therefore seeks to strike a balance between work and private life to allow digital technology to have a positive effect on workers' quality on life supported by employers. Honorable Speaker, since I had taken this Honorable House through this report, I would like to go specifically to the committee recommendations. Honorable Speaker, the committee, having considered the bill and taken to account the views and recommendations of the public and relevant stakeholders, resolved to recommend that this House rejects the bill. Then the justification is that the bill does not consider the changing work environment in current work trends, where work is not measured in terms of hours of work, but also of output and achievement of employment target deliverables. 2, there is an existing government policy allowing for flexible work arrangements such as remote work and flexi hours. So, Honorable Speaker, instead of having this bill that seeks somehow to criminalize employment, there is need, the committee observed that and recommended that there is an existing government policy that allows for deliberations on flexible work arrangements. Then 3, the current move to source for online employment opportunities by the government will render this provision not progressive. Then the issues
contained by the bill may be best addressed by way of policy. Then 5, matters of compensation for extra time worked have already been provided for both in Employment Act and policy. So there is no ambiguity on issues to do with compensation for extra time. Then 6, the amendment does not provide for ways in which the employee may compensate the employer where the employee leaves work early and does not meet the work targets. So, Honorable Speaker, the proposed bill by the Honorable Cheragei seeks to give the employees leeway when they leave work, so they should not be contacted. But you see now there is a gap. It does not provide for ways in which the employee may compensate the employer, because also the employers have a right, and given that the market, the labor market in Kenya is very competitive, so it does not provide for ways in which the employee may compensate the employer where the employee leaves work early and does not meet the target. So, Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, I would like to appreciate the members of the Departmental Committee on Labour and Secretariat for the role they played in the scrutiny of the bill and production of the report. The committee is grateful to the Office of the Speaker and the Clerk of the National Assembly for the logistical and technical support accorded to it during its sittings. The committee further wishes to thank the sponsor of the bill and the stakeholders mentioned above for participating in the consideration of the bill. Honorable Speaker, thank you. I beg to move and request the Honorable Kihungi, member for Kangema, to second. Thank you.
Proceed, Honorable Kihungi.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to second the bill. And Mr. Speaker, I wish to still second on rejection of the bill. Mr. Speaker, we went through the bill at the committee level, and Mr. Speaker, you find the bill, it has some terms which are very critical about to do with the bill, because when now the bill talks about that a person should not pick a call after work, but it says he can only pick a call maybe if the case is emergency. But the bill doesn't have the part for definition. Therefore, nobody understands what emergency is.
What's your point about that, Honorable Kimei?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm rising on a point of order, pursuant to provision of Standing Order 35. I wish to bring to your attention that there is no quorum present in the House. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Fair enough. Yeah, indeed, it is evident that there is no quorum. Please ring the quorum bell. Sergeant at Arms, ring the quorum bell. Yeah, but stop there. Okay. Order, honorable members. Honorable members, there being no quorum, and the time being 19:55 p.m., this House stands adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, the 29th of February, 2024, at 2:30 p.m.